I was just not trying to speak because I thought you were going to call me the loser again, and I didn't want to be the first one to talk. Rude. I am literally at a
Um,
score if you
Have
can't.
we noticed that Hannah has managed to go first in every episode?
Yeah, because I'm more important and Brett is longer winded.
Just know to all of our listeners that is an analogy of our siblinghood. Hannah's always been first.
Well, Brett
literally,
beat
it's
me out of the
exhausting.
womb, so now I have to go first in everything else to make up for it.
I don't
Okay,
think
you
anyone
ready?
heard what you just said.
It wasn't too
So
important. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready, ready, ready? Okay,
I am.
can you still see me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, so okay, last week I kind of mentioned this and I like did some more research about it because I like had kind of touched on it a little bit but didn't know much about it, about how there is a specific amount of time in which an event happens that this event can be sealed by the government. And then after so much time, they are no longer able to like seal certain things from the public. So, like, for example, the JFK assassination, that was supposed to become unsealed within the last year, and they've now resealed that, re-upped that. So they are still withholding the information from the JFK assassination, and there's a handful of things that they're still not like letting us know. But one of the things that they did recently, like, allow us to now see, they like unlocked some of the documents, are information about extraterrestrial life and all the stuff that happened from the 1940s until the 1970s. And there is some crazy stuff. Like, I mean, hold on. There was a number. Oh yeah, okay. So the biggest thing, and this is on archives.gov. So this is not on freaking Brett's Wikipedia or anything like this. This is literally, this is,
BrettsJournal.com.
yeah, www.brettsthoughts.com.
Thank you very much.
Creed's thoughts, backsplash, Creed. Okay, so
Backsplash.
this is this is under the section of U.S. Air Force fact sheet concerning UFOs and Project Blue Book. So it starts off on December 17th, 1969, the Secretary of the Air Force announced the termination of Project Blue Book, the Air Force program for the investigation of UFOs. From 1947 to 1969, how many sightings, like, do you guys think of UFOs or anything like that? How many sightings do you think happened from 1947 to 1969? So 22 years.
I'd say like 2,500.
Brett?
Okay, I was gonna guess 322.
Close. 12,618 sightings were reported just to Project Blue Book. Of these, 701 remain unidentified. So that means nearly 12,000 of these like were kind of like confirmed, or I guess they could say 107 were unidentified, meaning they had nothing to put it towards. So at least 701 of these sightings were like legit. So the project was headquartered out of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And like they no longer are doing any UFO stuff out of there. So let me find this is so this Hallie, what'd you say?
You said shocker.
Yeah. Well, they're not doing it out of that Air Force Base because they do everything out of Area 51, Yedumbo. They have a new area for it. Okay, so okay, perfect. So the biggest account of Project Blue Book. And one of the biggest like cases of this talks about a man, let me find his first name, George Van Tassel. So George Van Tassel, this is in August of 1953. He's a 40-year-old former aviation engineer who was awakened by a man from outer space. 6 years earlier, Van Tassel had moved with his family to Landers, California. It says a place of stark beauty and rainbow sunsets in the southeast corner of the Mojave Desert, 40 desolate miles due north of Palm Springs. Van Tassel, he was, as and everyone says into there. So I literally looked on the FBI's website, and it's so crazy. The FBI has over 100 pages of information on this guy. Like, he had a legit career. It's not like he was just some weird guy. He had worked for Lockheed and Douglas Aircraft and for Howard Hughes' aviation concern. So he like wasn't just some dummy. Like, he literally knew about like outer space. He was an aviation engineer. He was a smart guy. He wasn't just like some crazy person. So he had this experience happen to him, and he did not tell anyone for years because he knew how literally just batshit crazy he would look. So on the night of August 24th in 1953, Van Tassel's had a visitor, and it was not a Native American. Van Tassel claimed that Venusian from Venus and the captain of scout ship from Venus that had landed on the airstrip abutting Van Tassel's property. The spaceman looked like a human, wore a gray one-piece bodysuit, and spoke. Van Tassel told a television interviewer in the best English he's ever heard. He said that his name was Sulganda and that he was 700 years old, but he looked no older than like 30. Van Tassel was ushered onto the spacecraft, where he was told that Earthlings' resilience on metal buildings materials was interfering with radio frequencies and disrupting interplanetary thought transfers. Sulganda also divulged a secret, a formula that Van Tassel could use to build a remarkable machine, a device that would generate electrostatic energy and suspend the laws of gravity, extend human life, and facilitate high-speed space travel. Van Tassel died in 1978, and Sulganda hasn't been heard from in decades, presumably having settled at the ripe age of 750 something. Into they're making a joke that he's retired now, but so he literally like this is on the FBI's website. Sorry, they have 319 pages on this guy of like all the work he'd done prior to this. What'd you say?
Yeah. No, I was just saying, gee,
it's crazy. So they have like hundreds of pages on this guy, and he like built this craft, and it's still in the Mojave Desert. And like there are weird gravitational pulls in this thing. There's like weird stuff that happens here that like literally, and he has plans of it, but like the paper and like all this crazy stuff. And like it was even talked about like on the news like a couple months ago, like once this was released, like I think it was like CNN or something did like a story on it. And we're like, yeah, like this guy was literally sought after being like crazy, but in the same time, it's like he built something with different materials and like different things that like nobody had ever used before. And it was just like weird, all the stuff that he was able to do and all the things that like kind of came of it. And so yeah, it's just crazy because there's so many like people's stories. I mean, over the past, almost 100 years, people have had stories of things, and it's just been put off. But it is just crazy, like how many. Sorry, I got a cough, but
you gotta give up smoking sometime, Hannah.
Ugh, I know, it's terrible, bad habit. You're done. Fine. But no, it's just crazy, like There's so many accounts of things that are so similar. I even saw like an account of a school like in Africa of like a spacecraft came down to the school and
You're talking
like they
aerial school incident.
huh?
The aerial school incident.
Yeah.
Is
This
that
could
what's
be a
going
whole
on?
episode. This could be a whole episode. Don't
Oh,
Let's
100%.
just tease that.
But
That's
yeah,
literally one of the best stories
yeah,
of all time.
literally so crazy. But long story short, well, we totally should go over this, but they interviewed dozens of children and they all have the exact same account. Like it's crazy. Sorry.
And the principal does too. The principal and the teachers as well. Like it wasn't just the kids.
Yeah,
Like
so it's like,
literally, like the principal of the school, all of this
well, and
is
two, it's like,
wild.
this isn't even really one that you can dispute anymore because the government has literally been hiding it and then was like, I guess time's up on this one. Like, gotta let it go.
That's really interesting. I'd be curious I haven't heard of that story of that guy.
Yeah.
It's cool that there's all that FBI information about it. We have to send that out and we'll put it in the notes of the podcast down below too, so people can be able to read all 300 pages.
Yeah.
I
I
know
sure
I will.
Wait,
I literally thumbed through it and it was like a bunch of like handwritten documents and a bunch of like it's kind of it's pretty cool, but it's like handwritten evaluations, handwritten documents, court cases, stuff from the colleges he attended. Like it's crazy. There's like stuff about like excerpts from the Bible about Noah and the ark. Um like it's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's like it's
with
crazy.
that, oh god, sorry, keep going. While you're
Oh
doing
no.
that, I'm gonna show you guys something. Keep going.
I my thoughts on aliens, I feel like have always been the same. I feel like it's dumb, even just like seeing a picture of our solar system, to think that there's nothing else out there.
Yeah.
You know? Like to think that we're the only creatures in
Yeah.
the entire galaxy is dumb.
Stupid.
But I'm like, I feel like there's such a misconception around aliens, and that's probably from like Hollywood, but everyone thinks of like the little green guys or the gray guys that have huge eyes, things like that. I don't. My other thing is, it would be interesting to see how many people, like, not that I'm bashing your story, but how many people like have lucid dreams.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'd be
Right.
curious to know the percentage. Like, because sometimes, like, people, there's such a thin line between, like, reality and what you're dreaming of. I don't know.
Literal psychosis.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, okay, a couple of things. One, did you know that earlier this year, the McDonald's Corporation said that they plan to start advertising to people in their dreams within the next few years?
Bro, that's freaking
Literally,
creepy.
there's the technology. They wouldn't be saying that if the technology didn't exist.
That's
They did a
so
press release.
I mean, Hannah
Okay,
dreams of chicken nuggets every single night.
it's working.
literally it's happening.
The next time you join our podcast, you're dressed like Ronald. We're like, oh shit.
It's working. I'm dreaming. Yeah. Well,
I thought you were gonna say she's gonna dress up like a chicken nugget, and I'm like, oh, she's not even furry. She's a foodie.
yeah, no. I could tell you guys another traumatizing story.
I think we're good. I think we're good.
Okay. Well,
Nah, no,
that's
go.
all I have to contribute. Aliens are real. No, but to go off of what Hallie was saying. Like, I agree. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I think is like Hollywood and like fantasy and whatever of like little green guys, little gray guys, big heads, whatever. But I also just think that like there are so many different planets with so many different conditions, you know? Like planets that are so ridiculously hot that they're so close to the sun, like all these things, that you even look at like evolution in humanity over the last, thousands of years, and just how much humans have started, like their bodies have adapted and changed. So it's even like I I also I'm not like I'm not smart enough to think that every planet has
We
life.
know. You could just stop right there. You're not smart enough to think.
No, but I'm just saying I don't know what they would look like, but I also don't think that every planet and every evolved species on each planet would look human, Because maybe they did in the beginning, but maybe they've evolved into something where like maybe they're green because they need to like blend into their habitat, or maybe they're gray because, you know, it's a shield of pigmentation because they're closer to the sun. Like I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, but like you never know, and you never know like what really could be out there, because yeah, it's like there are so many planets and so many galaxies and so many things that it doesn't really make sense to just say, oh yeah, they aliens would come down and they would look human. Maybe
Yeah.
if they have similar like earthly conditions to what we have, but every solar system could have something completely different where the people are completely evolved differently from us. So I don't know, just a thought.
I just imagine
Yeah.
them, they all look like the main character from Elf.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Puppet Armadillo.
LOL. You guys remember how much we used to like watch Alf?
RDVARK.
Yeah, because it's the best show of all time.
I loved Alf.
It was a good show.
Sometimes I'll tell
Like,
Cooper about the shows we used to watch, and then I'm like, "Did you ever watch Alf or Leave It to Beaver?" And he's like, "No, my parents weren't born in 1957." I'm like, but
All
it's
I can
good.
I've
say is,
I've watched Leave It to Beaver within the past 2 months. I love Leave It to Beaver.
yeah.
It is a guilty pleasure. Good. Hey, viewers out
Yeah.
there, all seven of you, mostly our parents, please watch an episode of Alf and Leave It to Beaver for us.
All I have to say is, fuck the dad in Alf. He is literally the worst character.
He is.
That came off stronger than I anticipated. I'll just put that out there. I didn't-
Hallie might get edited out. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen,
Okay. Hannah,
with this
before
I
you
have
go,
to.
I have
Okay.
to show you something. Wait, don't go yet. Okay. Have you guys ever heard of this book?
No,
The Bible? No, I'm just kidding. No.
Can you read that though? The Adam and Eve story.
Yeah.
the history of catacombs.
Cataclysms.
Oh,
Okay.
close enough.
Hannah,
So if you were to look on eBay, if you were to look on eBay right now, this book is between $900 and $15,000.
Please tell me you didn't spend that money.
I got a better deal than that. But
Oh, that's so
this is
reassuring.
a first edition book. Okay. It's got all of the pages, literally perfect condition. Um, this book was taken by the CIA and they edited out about three-quarters of it. Former guy who had been like an associate director of the CIA wrote this book, talks about everything, basically like the end of the world, everything. CIA is like, nope, can't have that. They turned this like almost 200-page book into 42 pages, and then it got re-released. But I
Bro,
have an original.
that's freaking crazy.
So cool. I
You
know. It's like my favorite. It's like my pride and joy of my library. I love it. Anyways,
you
That's
read it?
freaking cool.
seriously. So one of these days, that'll be my episode, just talking about this book.
I know, Brett, have you read the whole thing?
No, I haven't. I just read bits and pieces, but it's like
It's probably really like
It's like
heavy.
reading it's like reading a philosophy textbook
Yeah.
Yeah,
is so far. It's just like, okay, hold up. I gotta like stop and think about it. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's over my head. I wish
yeah,
I could say it wasn't, but it is.
yeah. Nice.
Anyways,
All right, well, ladies and
okay.
gents, I have to go to Alabama in a few hours, so I better.
Brett, do
Okay.
it.
If you can, you should just have yourself muted and the video off and listen. Because
Okay, Brett, do it.
I
Am
wonder
I
if Dad
blogging
can
it?
do this. I'll bet $20 that he can't.
Sucker. Okay, well, I'll turn
Dad,
myself off.
$20 if you can do this. Okay. All right, sounds good.
Goodbye.
I don't think you would be able to figure out how to watch it.
I've been waiting for years for Hannah to say the sentence that she just said too. And she's gone. Okay, so
The energy.
oh gosh. Okay, it's fun. It makes me really happy that
I'll still hear you.
I know, yeah. Oh, I love it. All right, guys. So I'm gonna send you these links. I have done too much research into this, and honestly, it's heavy. Oh wow, she hung up. Now she's really gone. Okay, this is heavy, and I'm not even gonna share some of it because it's literally too heavy. Whew, this is really, really heavy. So we're talking about the Maui fires, okay? And so there's a handful of things that have happened, but I want to kind of go over some of the details first, and then I've done a lot of research about this. Listened to a lot of podcasts that have, I've looked at websites, their videos, I've listened to reports. The best article in the summary is actually by the Associated Press, which normally I feel like has a quite biased approach. This article is magnificently well written, so I got to give credit to the authors here. Looks like there were 4 people that wrote this, but I want to kind of start off with some base knowledge about this fire. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll to the spot first here. Okay. Goodness, sorry. Okay. Okay. So, on the morning of August 8th, 20 days ago from the time of filming, Shane Treyu woke up early and in his backyard he heard a utility pole snap next to Lahaina Luna Road. Then he saw the down power line ignite the grass and called 911 at 6:37 a.m. to report fire. Okay, some of this I'm just gonna read it just straight from, because this article really did the best job of explaining everything. This AP article then goes to say, small brush fires aren't unusual for Lahaina. Gosh, why can't I pronounce this? Anyways, and the fire department declares this one 100% contained by 9:55 a.m. Okay, there were initial reports. Some other people said that it was done, that they said it was contained earlier, but this says 9:55, okay? The assurance puts many residents at ease. Now listen to this, okay? Really important aspect, and I'm not going to talk about this much more after this, okay? High winds had prompted the closure of some public schools for that day, and others had not yet started. That means many of Lahaina's 3,000 public school students are home alone while their parents work. Okay, this is a topic now from this point on. I don't want to mention anything more about the kids. Okay, so this article goes on to say, contained is not controlled, however, and the town is being battered by high winds. While many of Maui County's fire crews work to extinguish the upcountry fire in the eastern half of the island, The wind is toppling power poles over, scattering embers like seeds in Lahaina. Churro's neighbor, Robert Arcondo, said the fire reignites around 2 p.m. He records a video of it spreading at 3:06 as large plumes of smoke rise near Lahaina Luna Road and are carried downwind by the wind. Excuse me. Around 3:20 p.m., Lahaina resident Kevin Eliasson is watching the black smoke from a vantage point closer to downtown when a passerby tells him that a power pole has been knocked onto the tar roof of a gas station 2 blocks away, creating fireballs that are being blown by the wind. Okay, so this is already a little bit scary. Okay, so we can see right now there's a lot of people home. They have been told that the fire is contained, not controlled, but contained. And so what occurs after this is that, at 3:06 we start to see some video of really large plumes of smoke. Okay, this fire is not in control at all. At 3:20, so somewhere between 3 and 3:20, it crashes into a power pole crashes into a gas station, and literal fireballs are being blown into the wind. Okay, so now I want to pause really quickly and talk about a few things. Okay.
Grateful.
Sorry, what?
Now you want to pause really quickly and sing "Great Balls of Fire."
Not today, gosh. Okay, so there's a couple really interesting things that have happened at this point. Okay, so number one, the power company. There's a few things that have already happened that should not have occurred. Okay, so number one is before any of this started, the power company, which is Hawaiian Electric, which a majority share owner is one of the most powerful companies in the world, Blackrock. Okay, they own a sizable portion of this electric company. What happens is for over 4 years, there had been reports that there were trees next to the power lines. Okay, in their contract, in all of their things, they said that this Hawaiian Electric company was going to take care of all of these different things. And what do you know? They didn't do it for years and years and years. Often, it's almost 2/3 of the cost for electric is to maintain the electric. All the landscaping, all the everything. I was like, that's crazy. Anyways, so a lot of the costs, or a lot of the profits are just completely profits. They're not actually caring for what has happened. Okay, so now there's a couple other things that happened here. Okay, so next, the emergency, like the city emergency preparedness folks, they were at a $1,000 a night hotel in the island of Oahu. None of them were there. None of them were there. Okay, so on top of that, next, they have a whole alarm system because obviously Hawaii can have a lot of typhoons and hurricanes, a lot of scary things. Now there's some counter arguments to be made, but they have an emergency alarm system. They absolutely could have sounded that alarm. Okay, one of the genuine fears is that people would have ran uphill. Okay, fire does travel faster uphill. So that is, so to that argument, I can understand them not doing that. But they didn't sound any emergency alarms. And then, on top of all of this, the protocol, as stated in the Hawaiian Electrical Company's protocol, is that if there's a fire, that area of the grid, the power will be turned off.
Yeah, I feel like that's number one.
Absolutely, and they didn't do it. They didn't turn any of the power off. So when there are downed lines, the power is still on. Okay? There are horrendous videos of people being trapped in their cars with down power lines all around them. Just horrible, horrible situations, okay? So, on top of all of this, what does the city do in conjunction with the electric? They turned off the water. They rerouted the water. There was no water. Can you imagine that? Okay, so the power lines, not only were they not turned off, they stayed on, and then they turned off the water. Okay, now, this is where it gets really scary. Okay. Okay. So this is where it gets really, really scary. Okay, so this talks about, it says 10 minutes later, Hawaiian Electric sends a news release asking Maui residents to prepare for extended outages. Note, they did not turn it off. They just said that there were to be outages due to the downed poles. It was not turned off by them. We have that confirmation on video. Utility says that more than 30 power poles were down in West Maui, including upon Honolulu, I'm going to butcher that, on a highway on the south end of Lahaina. The fire department closes the Lahaina bypass road because of the fire. That's a big thing right here, okay? So now, we're hearing two different things, okay? One, they're saying that there were 30 power poles down in West Maui, including along a highway in the south part of Lahaina, and then the fire department closes the bypass road because of the fire. Okay? Now, the closures block the only route out of Lahaina to the south. It's blocked. There is no way out. There's none. Okay, next, Mike Cicino decides to flee with his wife and several dogs from their neighborhood near Lahaina Luna Road. They head towards the ocean, but when they reach the intersection with the highway, Cicino sees a traffic jam ahead on Front Street. He sees traffic backed up on the highway to his right, where he knows the fire is rapidly approaching. To his left, he sees two police cars blocking the road, one across the lane of traffic and another one just starting to pull away. Cicino ignores the roadblock, driving around the police cars to head south. Okay, now, for those of you that are interested and want to watch, there is video. And I started to watch some of it, and I turned it off. It was literally too horrifying. But there were people trapped behind these roadblocks from the police that were there that died in their vehicles. Okay, they were stuck because the police stopped them. It's not just policemen saying we're not letting you go. They were giving orders. They were given orders to do exactly something. Okay, now, so then, if this goes on to say, says the same guy says, about a mile later, he runs into a line of cones blocking the highway. I remember thinking, shoot, maybe there's something dangerous ahead, Cicino says. And then we see all the cars driving onto Front Street, so we go that way too. Okay, he cuts through the streets. Anyways, they say that he says, I'm assuming it's because there's some down power lines or some down trees. There's eyewitness reports and video that there were not down power lines on the highway out. They were along the side, but there were not power lines going across it. There were not power lines in the highway. And yet they blocked off the only way to leave.
It's crazy because even if there were like I get that the power line poles themselves are big,
But
but
it's like,
like the wires just that a car could easily go over if it's off.
it doesn't have to be off. They're rubber tires. There's no effect.
Yeah.
I've driven over a live power line once with there's a police officer there, and he's like, "Yeah, you're fine." You know, it's you can do it. Anyways, there are so many horrific events that occurred with this. And there's a lot of conspiracies saying that these could be directed energy weapons. A lot of those things they've been able to, they can track to see what things are actually artificial intelligence generated, which things aren't. It looks to be that everything that looked like it could be a directed energy weapon is not. It's not the case. That's what it looks like. I don't think that is the case either. There's a lot of things with the color blue that you can look up as well. So directed energy weapons, basically it's like a really super strong laser, and they can just zap through anything. But it's weird, like things that are blue, it's like it bounces off. It can't go through it. And so you'll see there's like blue cars and houses with blue roofs and just like random blue items that didn't get burned in the fire. Really creepy, but it's not indicative of directed energy weapon. But
check in with you next week.
But like, this is scary. You know, this is what happened. And then the other thing that is absolutely insane. There's a couple other things. Number one, even, you know, as of I think 2 days ago, the mayor of Maui was asked, you know, and I said I wouldn't, but I'll say it again. He said, how many kids are missing? How many? You know, and he refused to answer. And he's like, it's just a couple of you that ruin it for everyone. He cut off the interview. He ended everything. Okay, so there are reports that between 111 and 150 people have confirmed to be dead. Yet there are at least between 1,000 and 1,500 people that are missing. Okay, you know, we won't go into details. We certainly don't want to speculate. The horrible time for all of those people.
The families too.
Oh, absolutely. So many prayers go out to those families and the community. And there's a lot of good people that are there giving out free meals. A lot of people have had some really quick responses. One of the other things that's really, it doesn't look, you know, you're talking conspiracy theory and all this, and I understand that, but it certainly doesn't look great because they're not allowing any press to go into those areas. Okay? Oftentimes they're saying that they're looking for people. There have been press, and they're not even seeing that there are actually people searching in all of these areas. But these areas are being closed down. So I think the chance that it was just the stupidest people actually doing this job, where they were at $1,000 a night hotel in a different island, they didn't turn off the power, they accidentally turned off the water, they told police to blockade. I think the chance of all those things happening, just happening on their own, I think those chances are so low. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that all of those things would have happened. So, to me, as sad as this is, the reality looks like there's a lot more that meets the eye. You know, that's where they're talking now that Blackrock and Oprah are going to go through and purchase all these thousands of acres from landowners that aren't alive anymore. Some of the most prime real estate in the world. They've talked about turning Maui into a smart city or this area into a smart city for a long time. So there's a lot of just sick, twisted things that have happened. And it really is a shame, but it unfortunately does look like this was not a coincidence. It does look like this was a planned thing. So our prayers go out to everyone who has been suffering, anyone who lost, a family member, a pet, a home, a vehicle. I can't imagine all of that pain. So our prayers go out to you. And my closing thoughts on this would be, and I don't care if people don't like this because of it, but at the end of the day, this is why you have to have faith in God. If you're only listening to what men are telling you, you're often going to be led the wrong direction. But, when you can have the Holy Ghost with you, when you can be led by God to know what to do, and not just be a sheep following orders, you can actually be able to survive and make it. So anyways, crazy story, but Hallie, what are your thoughts? I know that was a lot. That was a big, heavy story.
Yeah. No, it is crazy. And honestly, I think, like, just seeing how the way everything has been handled for the Maui Fire is so crazy.
Yeah.
So, just the fact that, I saw someone on Instagram who was there, who was on vacation, staying in a hotel in Maui. They shut everything down. They blocked all of the windows in the hotel. They
Really?
allocated, 2 bags of chips and 2 water bottles and a muffin for their entire family. They had to stay trapped in that hotel room. There's just so many incidences, and I also saw that the same chief of police happened to be the chief of police at the same time that the whole Las Vegas shooting happened. It's the same guy. Crazy.
It's
there's
weird.
a lot of things that are too crazy to be coincidences. And so unfortunately, you have to look beyond what the world would want you to know and say, okay, something fishy is happening here. And I think honestly, even just with the crazy weather everyone's been getting, we should all take this as a sign to be prepared for emergencies.
Oh gosh.
Because we don't.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, and then when you hear our absolute joke of a president going there and not having coherent sentences and saying, "Well, it's hot." Go to bed. Just go to bed.
You should do a bike tour around the island.
Oh, that's great.
Sorry, that was bad. I'm sorry.
I loved that. I'm not editing that out. That was hilarious.
No, but yeah, there's too many weird things about the way it started, the way it was presented, how everything is just completely on lock.
Yeah. Scary.
Too weird.
Really is scary stuff. Oh man.
At the end of all of our podcasts, we should play a Christmas song.
I like it. Okay, I think that is a good idea. So that was a heavy episode. I understand that, but I think this is the first one that you believe in.
Well, yeah, I do definitely believe in this, because this to me isn't like a being or something that you can't see.
Yeah.
You just hear witness accounts. It's like I have yet to see anything published about the matters. And it's like the world we live in, things that can be published in real time,
Yeah.
but everything seems hidden.
It's freaky.
So something fishy.
Yeah, yikes. Oh man. Okay, all right. Well, we'll close this off with a Christmas song in the description. Okay? What song is it gonna be? Or maybe it's a surprise. They have to look what the song is in the description.
There we go.
Okay, alright. Sorry this is such a heavy episode today, but as things happen in real time, we want to be able to talk about them and figure out what. Our prayers go out to the families, and hope that you enjoy the podcast, and so long.
Two agents, one loser, which is Hannah. Sorry.
Recording stopped.
Perfect ending timing. I know.
Man, no, it is crazy. And honestly, I think like just seeing how the way everything has been handled for the Maui Fire is so crazy. So
Yeah.
like I yeah, just the fact that like I saw someone on Instagram who was there, who was on vacation, staying in a hotel in Maui. They shut everything down. They blocked all of the windows in the hotel. They
Really?
allocated them like 2 bags of chips and uh 2 water bottles and and like a muffin for like their entire family. They had to stay trapped in that hotel room. There's just so many coincidences. And I also saw that the same chief of police happened to be the chief of police at the same time that the whole Las Vegas shooting happened. It's the same guy. Crazy. There's
It,
a lot of things that are too crazy to be coincidences. And so unfortunately, you have to look beyond what the world would want you to know and say, okay, something fishy is happening here. And I think honestly, even just with the crazy weather everyone's been getting, we should all take this as a sign to be prepared for emergencies because we
oh
don't know what's
gosh.
coming.
Yeah, it's scary.
And
Yeah, and then
I don't
hear
know.
our joke of a president going there and not having coherent sentences and saying, "Wow, it's hot." Like,
Yeah.
go to bed. Just go to bed.
You should do a bike tour around the island.
Oh,
Sorry, that was bad. Sorry.
I love that. I'm not editing that out. That was hilarious.
No, but yeah, there's too many weird things about the way it started, the the way it was presented, how everything is just completely on lock.
Yeah,
Yeah, too weird.
scary.
Mhm.
Really is scary stuff. Oh man.
At the end of all of our podcasts, we should play a Christmas song.
I like it. Okay, I think that is a good idea. So that was a heavy episode. I understand that. But I think this is the first one that you believe in.
Well, yeah, I do definitely believe in this because this to me isn't like a being or something that you can't see, you just hear witness accounts. It's like I have yet to see anything published about the Maui
Mhm.
fires. And it's like the world we live in, things that can be published in real time, but everything
Yeah,
seems hidden. So something
it's
fishy is going
freaky.
on.
Yeah, yikes. Oh man. Okay, all right. Well, we'll close this off with a Christmas song in the description.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay. What song is it gonna be? Or maybe
Oh,
it's a surprise. They have to look what the song is in the description.
there we go.
Okay, all right. Sorry this is such a heavy episode today, but as things happen in real time, we want to be able to talk about them and figure out what our prayers go out to the families
Mhm.
and hope that you enjoy the podcast and so long.
Two legends, one loser, which is Hannah.
Do you
All
guys
right,
think
good night.
of UFOs or anything like that? How many sightings do you think happened from 1947 to 1969?